Hey, wrestling travel. It's the lockdown sessions. I've got my cat ears on, which means we have another guest. And our guest today is the amalgamation himself, Korey Konstantine. Korey, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to get to know you a little bit better. We've known each other for a little while, but I'm excited to actually dive into you, yourself, and who you are, and taking it back to just the basics of getting to know you. Where do you come from as a training aspect? Where did Korey begin?
Whew. So, I mean, if we really want to dial it all the way back, we'll
All
dial
the
it
way
back
back.
to a 10, 11-year-old kid who would get home from school and then, go with his neighbors, and then we'd wrestle on the trampoline in the backyard and jump off the roof onto each other. And yeah, I mean, that's really where it all stemmed from. But as far as professionally and where do we progress to? So June 2011, I got my start at OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling, under the tutelage of Mr. Nick Dinsmore. Spent about 3 or 4 months there, came back, resumed school, all that fun stuff. And while I was doing school, I was also wrestling on the weekends. I'd do some training with Rodney Mack and Jazz. Left there, went to Wildcat Sports for a few years, left there, and now I'm with Elevate Pro. So a little bit everything, a little bit everywhere.
I love that. I think the fact that you can learn from multiple trainers and multiple wrestlers makes you more of a well-rounded individual in the wrestling world when it comes to that. And starting also with yourself, you weren't always the amalgamation. How how has this complete process been? I mean, creating yourself and being more of who you are.
So it all stemmed from honestly taking a bad thing and trying to make it into a good thing. So hit some really, really bad depression, and eventually I was just like, this isn't working. I don't know how much longer I want to do this. I'm just gonna do whatever I want, whatever I like. Let me take a piece of this. I like this. I like that. So like the original inspiration, I was super into like Spider-Man and then Slipknot and drumming and all these different things. So the original mask that I created was kind of like a culmination of all those things between, the Joker and Joey Jordison and Corey Taylor and then, Spider-Man. And then it's just all kind of just been like, you know what? We're just going to throw shit at the wall and just hope it sticks.
I think that's great. I mean, that's what this is all about, is just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I mean, the crowd has really loved to see what you do. I mean, I've seen your masks and stuff that you make and you have at shows, and the kids love them and love to have them and wear them and stuff. And you've got a really big support team with all of that.
Yeah. It's been picking up steam. It was reaching a fever pitch for a while, and then obviously, the coronavirus hit, and now everything is kind of flatlined for the time being. But I'm gonna hit the ground running. I'm not worried about it.
Right. And what have you been doing during this pandemic? Have you been slowly working more on your characters? And obviously, you've been working out still. I see you post all the time your workout routine,
Yeah.
and I don't do it, but I see you post it.
um, Between just trying to stay in shape, and then what's sitting behind me, that's been like the main two things that's been kind of keeping me sane in the meantime. Watching matches, writing down a lot of ideas for characters to try to see, okay, how can we take this and we'll do this, and then I want to make this video, but I want to incorporate everything. So just a lot of wheels kind of spinning, and now it's just trying to figure out how we can execute and get it published.
That's perfect. And you're a musician, I can see. When did you start? You played drums. I see a guitar. Do you play guitar also? I didn't know you played guitar.
I tried to play guitar.
It's just there.
I have drummer hands. I don't have guitar fingers. So yeah, it's there. I have friends who will come over and jam and stuff like that. So it serves a purpose.
Nice. Yeah, and you've even incorporated some of that into your entrances and into your show, which is great. I love that you bring that kind of into your production when you make an entrance.
Yep, yep. I mean, again, it's just, you know, trying things differently and like what haven't I seen somebody do before? All right, what do I like? Let's see how we can tie that in and be different, stand out a little bit more.
And being different and standing out, that is exactly the point. And I think that you've shown that kind of aspect in all of the wrestling that you do, but even outside of the ring, your interaction with the audience and your interaction with other wrestlers. When did you start actually knowing that that was a good catch to start incorporating the audience and pulling them in, and like how did you work up to that moment? Because it's not easy to start pulling in people like that and pulling in the audience and interacting with the crowd.
Um, Really, I guess you want to call it a blessing and a curse, probably more than a blessing, but it's fine. I blew out my knees in 2017, so I had a lot of downtime, which made me kind of rethink, okay, I can't keep doing a lot of the things that I've been doing. I have to change my style. Um, how can I tweak it? How can I make this more sustainable of a journey moving forward? So that's really when it was, okay, let's listen to podcasts. Let's listen to everybody who's been there, who's done that. What do they have to say? You know, listen to Stone Cold or JR or whomever, you know, the ones who really know, and try to pick up any of those tidbits that I can. And then you start thinking, okay, it's not so much about the moves, it's about the moments in between, and it's about really drawing them in. So um, it's true what they say, less is more, really. So I've definitely dialed it back. You know, I focused more on telling that story and really gripping. You know, like the idea is, you know, oh, you know, that shit's fake, but those two guys, what they did was real. That's what I shoot for every time.
I think that's great, and I think you definitely portray that. In your career that you've had so far, first of all, how long have you been in this? You said before, but when did you start actually wrestling?
June 2011 is when I started my training. Yeah.
Nice.
So my first show was September 2011.
Nice. And you, how through that kind of career, what has been some of the highlight matches that you've had? I know a lot of people do the whole dream match thing, but I want to know where you've been, what you've done.
uh, One of these answers is going to get me in trouble, but it was fun regardless. So when I was first kind of starting out within the first year or so, I was going under a different name. I was going under Kid Crash. Weird story behind that name, but it's fine. Had really good chemistry with this guy, Crimson, like right off the bat, and I learned a lot from him as far as just starting out. We had a pretty solid ladder match, you know, for a title to kind of blow off the feud, and then we did like a street fight as well. So a lot of those were fun. Let's see, I worked Steve Anthony not that long ago. That was definitely a highlight. Had some good ones with Purple Haze. You know, just won the 225 title off of Yo Gracie. So I would say like within the last year, we've had a lot of them, but the one that's going to get me in hot water with hurting somebody is I had a lot of fun with Chuckles.
I love Chuckles. I was there for that match, and I enjoyed that match. I thought it was great. I love Chuckles. It was just really funny. It's so weird. I guess I have to interview Chuckles now, because this is not the first time Chuckles has been brought up in my interviews, which is strange, but so yeah, Chuckles is definitely somebody. I like Chuckles personally.
Shout out to Chuckles, top-notch promo guy, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those promos are so good.
Yeah.
So good. And obviously right now we're chilling, we're poised, but like when you're in that character, when you put that face paint on, like I've interviewed you in that sense, you do take on a different even physicality to that. How do you get into that mindset? Is it when the paint goes on? Is it when you get in the ring? How is it?
It's all the process. I would say it definitely starts kind of when the paint goes on, though. It's somewhat of like an artistic expression for me. It's, you know, what am I feeling that day, or what's my interpretation of the opponent that I can bring to light on the face or on the mask or whatever. So it all starts in, in the back whenever you're just looking in the mirror and you're thinking, okay, what is this going to look like coming out? And then, I always like will do a video or whatever of it and just kind of looking back and forth. And I think it's like at that point, whenever I'm really looking at it and I'm seeing what I created, I'm like, that's it. It's a different person now. Just like anybody else will tell you, the first note of the music hits and you're there. It's just something that you tie into. So it's a little bit of everything, but I would say a lot of it kind of like stems from certain memories that make me feel a certain way that just put me in a totally different headspace. So it's something to draw off of.
That's in the face paint. I mean, it's not like I know from personally trying to constantly get my eyeliner correct doing makeup. It's not easy to paint a face, let alone your own face. When did you start learning that, or has it been just a trial by error kind of thing?
I mean, I've always been kind of artsy, if you will. So, I mean, I'm a former painter and all that stuff as well. So it's always been kind of a process. And then I just kind of, it's a work in progress. I'm literally just freestyling it most of the time when I'm doing it. So.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
obviously music and art is some of your passions. Outside of wrestling, what other hobbies do you have? Do you collect things? Do you like fish or hunt? I don't know, like do any of that?
Pretty boring. It is. I mean, I do spend a lot of time, playing drums. I'll play with my dogs, or I'll play video games from time to time. Fitness. I mean, I stay pretty busy overall. I'm trying to learn how to sew. It's not going well at all, but
It
I'm
doesn't
trying.
at first, but the fact that you're trying is really good.
Yeah. I mean, just I like to create things. So.
Now, if you do continue to sew and get better at it, are you looking into making your own gear and stuff like that? Is that one of the purposes?
Yeah. So I bought all of this stuff, and I bought like $80 worth of fabric so that I would force myself to learn how to sew, and I have been slacking on it. I've got it all. I've got it all planned out. It's just it's not good. The actual using the sewing machine part. Whew.
That's intimidating. It's so scary because once you push that little thing down and it goes really fast and it's like like that scares me.
I like basically broke the machine like 4 times in one night. All of them. Yeah, within like 3 seconds of using the pedal, it's just locked.
That just shows you're going really hard. You're trying to learn how to sew hardcore.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
So other than that, like towards the future of obviously we're in this pandemic and everything is tentative in our worlds at the moment, but in your mind, what are some of your future plans and goals that you're working towards to progress yourself into?
International. It's the name of the game right now. Trying to get out, well, before everything kind of got shut down, I was reaching out to a lot of promoters over in the UK. Basically was going to try to go over there and do like a week and a half tour. Just work as much as I could. Beyond that, Japan is way high on the list. I've been fascinated with Japan probably since I've been like 9 years old. So very high on the list, even more so whenever you watch the entertainment or the matches that they're cranking out over there. It's unreal. So I mean, I went to the New Japan LA dojo, and that was really like, man, I gotta get here.
Oh man, how was that?
Intense. It was very, very intense. I've never done more squats or push-ups or cardio, or they try to break you down over there to see like who wants it. But I mean, at the end of the day, everybody really rallies behind each other to kind of push you through. It was a very, very cool experience.
That's awesome. I mean, that's something that a lot of people have never experienced. So for you to be able to do that, that just seems to bring you one step closer to your ultimate goal. I mean,
Right,
that's a big thing. Other than that, other than going to that dojo and learning from all these other people, what have you learned from some of the wrestlers that you've went up against?
Oh man, slow down. And when you think you're going too slow down some more. That's been a big one. I mean, outside of that, it's really just feel it out more. I can't. I think I don't know if it's because I've been in for too long or if I just naturally have a terrible memory. I cannot. I'm not one of those guys who can get in there and be like, okay, here's the beginning, and we're gonna call everything from the headlock on. I will forget. I will get lost. So if anything, that kind of serves a good purpose for me, because now it's like, okay, now let's just rely on what we feel and make it more organic rather than, step by step by step.
Right. I never understood people that were able to get the entire match before the match itself and then be able to go work it. I don't like if there's no way to be in the moment if you're constantly trying to remember the next 5 steps that you have to do. I think
That's
that's
something
crazy.
that I learned too was, getting just watched by the people, and like, you look like you're thinking a lot out there. Like I can see your wheels turning. So that kind of also helped me to be like, okay, well, that's probably because I'm trying to remember what comes next. But if I'm just out there and I'm just feeling it, whatever, and you can just, as you get more reps under you, you just kind of know what to do in different situations, and it flows better. It's easier, honestly.
Right. And I want to talk about you yourself as outside of the ring, as your own person and entity when it comes to after show, after the match, everything like that. What are some of the feelings that you constantly get after?
You're buzzing for a while. You're buzzing for a long time. Yeah, it takes me hours to come down after a show. Um, Post-show rituals usually will, pull up by a Taco Bell, load up on some food, guilty as charged, and go home and just try to unwind, maybe play games or whatever until you eventually just kind of fall asleep. But yeah, but a lot of it's excitement, unless you have a stinker, in which case you beat yourself up until you get in the ring for the next show and you can deliver. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. And I mean, everyone has a bad match at some point or thinks they have a bad match. I mean, that's just the way that wrestlers beat themselves up more. You're your own worst enemy in that kind of sense.
Yep.
And I feel like you have definitely come from that kind of thing of having, you've been very open in talking about, coming from a deep depression and being able to transform that into a positive. I think that's something that a lot of people need to realize or see that they can do. Like there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh yeah. It takes a while to get there, but there's one.
That's
Yeah.
that's that's great. I mean, for your wrestling knowledge and the places you've been and the people you've worked with and everything that you've seen, is there anything out there you want to tell the little wrestlings, the little wrestling children out there? Is there any kind of advice you can give from you personally? Not just like the generic, like say your prayers, eat your vitamins, whatever, but
No, just if you want it, it's everybody says they want it. It's just how much work are you going to put into it. I know with this pandemic, I could have stepped up better than I have, and I fully intend to do better. But don't let other people define who you are. Figure out who you are. Do what you want. March to the beat of your own drum. Because if you can't connect to what you're trying to present, nobody else is either. So you really have to be authentic. But if it was easy, everybody would do it. That's another thing I would say. So definitely expect that there's going to be a lot of hard work. There's going to be way more sacrifice than you could ever imagine. Whether that's on a personal level, physical level, emotional level, it all ties in. But if you want it, you can get it, but don't expect it to come overnight.
Right. I think that is perfect words to live by when it comes to that. Now, before we close and say goodbye, can you plug all of your social media where they can find you and all of the magic you do?
Magic. Ooh, maybe I'll do that. No, Zippy Dice already does magic.
Yeah, I was gonna say he'll come for you for that.
Yeah, I know. Twitter is Konstantine225. Facebook, Korey Konstantine. Instagram, also Korey Konstantine. I have a Snapchat. Don't use it a whole lot. It's also Konstantine225. Outside of that, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's all the social media. If you want t-shirts or merchandise, slide in the DMs. We'll hook you up. Got, fresh off the
Yeah.
press.
Yeah, look at that. That is the newest shirt.
It's a new shirt.
That's the new we
Yep,
got
yep.
going on.
So
It
we
looks
got
good.
all three personalities, if you will. You've got the pretty boy, you got the amalgamation, the painted gimmick, and then you've got the hunk of punk over there. So we're all gang's all here.
I love it. I love the entire trio. It's so good. Thank you so much, Korey, for being on the show. And make sure you like and subscribe to everything. And if you like us, tell your friends. If you don't like us, tell your enemies. We'll take their views too. So thank you so much, and we'll see you later on the lockdown sessions.